Blue Sunset's first solo performance that shows both sides of youth. Spread your wings, and through the darkness, solo and band composition will unfold in color. After one magical night, the sound of this day may linger in your ears for a while. Let's move forward with that burn. And buddy, please don't forget today. On December 6th, 2022, Parannoul would announce a show that would change my life. Tickets would open on December 14th, 2022, and the performance would take place on January 14th, 2023, directly a month after the tickets were announced, thus beginning one of the greatest live shows that our generation has to offer, After the Night. Before getting into the songs of this performance, I feel like I should probably mention some key things when it comes to After the Night. Parannoul is an up-and-coming artist in the shoegaze/Korean rock genre, which he very much excels at. Notable albums include To See the Next Part of the Dream, which is an album that mainly focuses on teenage angst and how life can feel rather freeing but at the same time restricting. Parannoul once said in an article, "When I first saw the factory with smokestacks, I felt stuffy and uncomfortable, like we won't have freedom inside there. On the other hand, I felt something contradictory. When I saw the pure white smoke coming out of it, I wanted to show the clean yet dirty side of youth through this smokestack. The little birds above the smoke show the mind of the teenager that wanted to be free," which I think completely sums up my thoughts about what the album means to me. Nostalgic, emotional, and most importantly, free. He would go on to make similar projects with other artists such as Asian Glow, who was another artist who blew up in that spectrum of music. Parannoul's most recent album, After the Magic, is a rather more freeing, and as the album tells you in the title, a magic experience, than To See the Next Part of the Dream. You can tell how much happier Parannoul has gotten in these recordings, and how much that smokestack has dissipated. With songs like Polaris, We Shine at Night, and Imagination, you can tell how confident Parannoul has become, a truly blossoming experience. Parannoul said on his Bandcamp page, "I'm always afraid when what I have now will disappear, and when people will leave me. I think these are some kind of magic that will shine bright for a while and then lights out, like nothing happened. This is an album that I made with my dreams. I dreamed after my second album. Thanks to people all over the world for the help." With that being covered, let's get back to the actual live performance of these songs. After the Night was performed live at KT&G Sing Sang Madang Live Hall. Lots of Parannoul's close friends performed alongside with him, most notably Asian Glow on the bass, Broken Teeth on the guitars, Yo on the guitars, Nine Sunke on the drums, and Fin4 on the trumpet. With that being said, allow me to introduce the first track of this performance and the intro to After the Night. The opening track of After the Night is Polaris, which earlier I said was one of the most notable songs off the record, and oh my god, this song is the most perfect intro for an otherwise perfect performance. The song starts out with the audience clapping at the beginning, which is almost like a reference to the Fishmans' live performance, 98-12-28, A Farewell to Men, which is equally amazing, and I wish I could talk about that album just as much, but that's not why you're here, is it? Anyway, the studio version and the live version start completely different, as the studio version starts with the guitar that appears later into the live performance. But the live performance starts with almost like an artificial drum, which then leads into this dreamy guitar, very Oh Slime-like. Alright, enough glazing. But then, after this, it breaks down into this almost sing-songy guitar ballad. This leads into Parannoul's vocals, which can I just say, sound completely amazing live. He really needs to give himself some credit. They're great. We then lead into this violin dramatic pause that throws you into this completely digital supernova of sound. But everything sounds so perfectly layered and great. It's loud, emotional, and a great introduction to the live. A really are you feel good moment. Okay, I'll really stop with the Fishman references. After this, we get thrown into a loud Korean rock explosion, building onto each layer one after the other, with Parannoul's high singing notes. It just gives you goosebumps when you hear it the first time. It eventually crescendos into one final triumphant song, which, can I just mention, we are still on track 1, people. This transitions into our second track of the live performance, Beautiful World, which happens to be Parannoul's most popular song by far. What hasn't been said about an already perfect song? An even more perfect live version of that song. For the intro of this song, you get to hear the infamous Lily Choo Choo's clip with the audience cheering in the back. We then transition into shoegaze bliss, as you can't help but close your eyes and reflect on life and good times. Parannoul seems very confident in these vocals, like I said before, but it's also a bit of a nod to fans who understand what To See the Next Part of the Dream is. Because although it sounds amazing, the lyrics are quite depressing, as this album was created when Parannoul was trying to find his place in the world. His vocals were mixed low on purpose, to try and hide himself from the world and his music. But in this performance, they're out there and sounding more beautiful than ever. This song's instrumentals are only heightened, as To See the Next Part of the Dream was mainly recorded digitally by one guy, Parannoul. But with this live performance, like I said earlier, we have a whole band playing with him, only elevating his sound. Before we move on to the next track, I have to mention, I still get goosebumps on this section. The third track, Analog Sentimentalism, is another popular song off To See the Next Part of the Dream, which is completely justified as the song is amazing. It has amazing sections that are only enhanced live. This song really, and I mean this one when I say it, instrumentally reminds me of a Fishman song, especially the instrumental sections, a little less than halfway in. I love how digital this song sounds live with the samples of Korean clips. Even though it's performed as a live song and sounds like a live song, it still has that perfected digital aspect. The second half of the song is really where the magic is. It almost sounds like it could have been on after the magic, a truly beautiful song to be played live. The last section where Parannoul sings is just beautiful. He seems so happy, and that makes me happy. If it didn't seem like it from the beginning, then I really should tell you now. This live performance is really, really, really special. This then leads us to the halfway mark of the live performance. The fourth track, Soft Bruise, comes from Parannoul's EP tape that he dropped a little after To See the Next Part of the Dream. It has the White Ceiling demo, which is mainly what it's known for, and of course, this live song, Soft Bruise. This song is really the only song like it in this performance. It's mainly Korean rock with hints of shoegaze, but what I really like from it is Parannoul's vocals. The range he has is really impressive. I really like the instrumental breakdown with his vocals during the second half. It's so laid back, but it throws you right into an explosion of sound that you can't help but nod your head to. I think the song is a huge highlight for his singing ability and shows how truly confident he has become with it, if it wasn't obvious earlier. The ending goes full rock, which I love how noisy it is, which surprisingly just ends up taking you right back into the beautiful nature of Korean rock that Parannoul has going for him. A truly amazing song on an amazing performance. Let's have a small intermission to just say, how are you? Are you doing good? Are you feel good? Okay, sorry. Track 5 is the song Imagination, which is a song off Parannoul's latest album, After the Magic, like I mentioned earlier. The live version obviously enhances it, but I'm just surprised how the song isn't more popular. I feel like it could easily have millions of streams, like analog sentimentalism. Parannoul has a lot of really beautiful high notes on this song that you don't really hear until the last track. The instrumental to this song is really interesting because it can go from this dreamy guitar sound to this hardcore build-up. If I haven't made it clear, every song is perfect and amazing in their own ways, and this way happens to be how diverse this song is with its instrumentation. I just love the second half of this song. The build-up is really amazing and then just stops, and almost goes back to the original intro, Polaris, until it doesn't, and heads right into this chaotic space of sound that sounds amazing, but is just as beautiful. It's hard to describe, but it's just the Parannoul sound. You can bop your head to it, you can cry to it, you can contemplate your life decisions to it. Everything has a mood for you, which is hard to find in artists, which is why I love him so much. Now this song holds a very special place in my heart, so pardon me if this is a long one, because I'm sure you're all ready to hear me talk about that song. I Can Feel My Heart Touching You is the last track off To See the Next Part of the Dream. Even the track name alone kind of makes you emotional, but when you listen to it, man. This song live is incredible in every way, and I see why he put it on the performance. It's very underrated, but it's one of my favorites from Parannoul. On the studio version of the song, it's very depressing, as you can interpret the song two ways. Parannoul said in an interview, "For those who have seen the lyrics, the end of the album can end with the narrator, or hopefully, moving on to reality without running away. Both interpretations are intended, depending on the listener's point of view." Which in reality, I feel like the first way is way more reasonable, as the whole album in terms of its lyrics are so depressing, and it feels like the second way wouldn't be the correct closure. An otherwise terrible end to a beautiful album. But remember what I said, Parannoul is a new leaf, which is why when performing this song live, something amazing happened. Something that majority of people probably wouldn't realize or care about if they didn't understand what the backstory really was behind this song. In this live performance, which sounds amazing, the instrumentals are heightened tenfold from the studio version, and Parannoul sounds even more confident on a rather depressing song. But not for long. Towards the end of this dreamy bliss of a song, there's a shoegazy guitar that plays around the 4-minute mark, and in the original studio version, Parannoul's la-las are all over it, and that's how it plays out. A depressing ending. But one of the biggest changes of this song is in the live performance, because not only does Parannoul do his la-las, but towards the very end of the song, around the last 30 seconds, he grows even more confident and starts repeating the words. He repeats this till the end of the song, and holy crap, this entire section is in English. He speaks English, which he almost never does in these songs, except for moments like the last. It's a rather powerful but moving statement from Parannoul that you would probably glance over if you weren't really into him that much. But knowing how Parannoul confirmed there could be two sides of the song, which didn't make sense when you think about how depressing the album was, but to realize that the second version of this song is this very live performance. It's his way to tell his English-speaking fans and to give the emotion to the audience that he is okay, and he is happy, and he has never felt more confident than he has now, that he can truly feel his heart again. His heart touches all of us. Finally, his inspirational message of, "If I was able to get through it, so can you," is something that will stick with me for the rest of my life, and why I think this performance is as legendary as it is. Track 7 is White Ceiling, which is also off his album To See the Next Part of the Dream. This song starts with an alarm clock, much like its studio version, which makes the crowd go into an uproar. Now this song is perfect. The regular version is my song of the decade. Yes, you heard me right, decade. It's perfect in every way, and yes, I will be glazing it today. Now instrumentally, the live version is far superior to the studio version, but I love the studio version a lot more just because of how raw it feels. The drowned out vocals and everything enhance such a depressing song in a beautiful way. The song has a runtime of 10 minutes, and it doesn't waste a single second of it. The singing on this live version is beautiful though. The high notes really make it worth listening to, if not just the instrumental alone makes it worth it. The dreamy guitar at the 3-minute mark going around your ears, soothing you as you listen. It's just beautiful. It then breaks down in a beautiful world fashion, where it just keeps hitting you with these drums and it's pure bliss to the ears. Parannoul begins to sing rapidly, repeatedly, and although you can't understand him unless you're Korean, you already know the emotion is there. Parannoul transcends the language barrier, just as many bands have in the past. We then get to the second half with Parannoul's gorgeous drawn out vocals. Parannoul begins to sing again, but this time, unlike the studio version that was so drawn out that you can barely hear it, there's a second voice yelling as they get higher and higher till the tension can no longer hold, and it just breaks, and drums, guitars, everything at once. Clips of old nostalgic shows, Lily Choo Choo, and more. Everything that makes up Parannoul's childhood. The things that inspired him to create this project, all crashing down on each other. The tension has bursted into a sonically impressive rhythm of sound. It's so raw that there's not a single other song that can hit as many emotions for me as this song does. You can hear the screaming in the background. This is drowned out in the live performance, but in the studio version it's there, and it's so emotional and raw, it feels like all of Parannoul's suffering is laid upon you like a therapy session. In the live performance, it gets so loud toward the 8-minute mark that it starts to get distorted, but you can still make out everything. The emotion, the clips, the screaming, the drums, the guitars, everything builds up to this moment. A very beautiful, depressing moment. We then get to this section towards the end while everything starts to calm down, which I think Parannoul does beautifully. The alarm clock comes back almost like it's taking Parannoul out of this dream that he's in. Everything gets distorted and the band goes wild at the end, and it finishes with a dramatic cymbal slap as the audience cheers. Beautiful. Well guys, with that being said, considering that White Ceiling was the last track off this performance, it's finally time to give my conclusion. Wait, 46 minutes? Is this long season? Alright guys, I kind of maybe forgot to mention a small detail of this track list, and that is that the last song was not White Ceiling, and that the last song is actually Into the Endless Night, which is 46 minutes. Yes, you heard me right. 46 minutes. All jokes aside, before we get into the last song of this performance, I'd like to give some background behind it and like a mini history lesson / theory, so without further ado, enjoy. Into the Endless Night was originally a single that was released on March 29th, 2022. It was split into 2 parts. The first part was a 9-minute song, and it sounded like a demo, but otherwise a pretty good song. The second part is around 4 minutes, and it's just kinda there. It doesn't really contribute much to the first part. Now during the performance, after White Ceiling, the band decided to take a 10-minute intermission, obviously, and come back with a revised version of this song, which turned out to be 46 minutes of Into the Endless Night, which feels like 5 to 6 different versions of the song at once that transition beautifully into one another. Now, if you've had any prior history with this song, or the general perception of this song, a lot of people call it this generation's Long Season, or this generation's A Farewell to Men, which I don't really agree with because they're both very different in the sense of emotion and vibe, but I understand where they get that conclusion, as both songs are over 40 minutes long. Although, listening back to Long Season, I kinda can see the similarities with some instruments being used in both projects, which maybe I'll try and point out when I get to them, maybe not. Anyway, back to the actual performance of the song itself. Into the Endless Night starts with these dreamy keys, surrounding your ears with the audience cheering for a bit before going away. This goes on for a little bit before finally the guitar comes in, and that, in all serious, reminds me of the Oh Slime intro. I mean, just listen to it. It sounds so dreamy, and this is one of the many highlights throughout the song. This is a perfect intro to a perfect song, or as I like to call it, a project, as it feels more like a project to me. We then get Parano vocalizing throughout this section, and it's genuinely so beautiful. It sounds like you're watching a night concert while sipping coffee on the side. Just a perfect vibe. Parannoul starts to sing in English. Everything's gonna end someday, but I don't want to die anymore. Everything's gonna leave someday, but I don't want to sleep. Which is so beautiful, as it completely sums the message of a full rebirth for Parannoul. We then get the first Into the Endless Night. Which happens quite a lot throughout the album. It's truly beautiful and touching when he says these 4 simple words. After this, everything starts to, as I like to call it, transform. It feels like I'm being summoned into a dream, into that endless night that Parannoul is talking about. We then get these indistant drums and slowly go into the second phase of this song. The song starts to take form with these drums and guitars surrounding your ears, a totally new sound from the previous 4-minute intro. We get these really dreamy leads that come in and out, that sound directly like something off of Farewell to Men, which I said I'd point out earlier. Parannoul begins to sing in Korean now, and like I said, I can't understand Korean, but I don't need to be able to feel the emotion, the power in his voice. It's truly spectacular. The piano comes in to complement Parannoul's wonderful singing, as he continues to say, Into the Endless Night. I feel like everyone needs to hear this song at least once in their life. It's truly life-changing. The song suddenly shifts into the original keys, but this time distorted and almost flute-like, with this guitar soloing in the distance. By this time we're probably already at the 10-minute mark, just continuing to play and take in this journey of emotion. Once again, Parannoul begins singing with high energy and getting louder and louder as the instrumentals build around him like a tunnel of sound. A powerful display of instruments and vocal harmonies surround you throughout this. All the original instruments at this point are here, displaying their sounds layer after layer, emotionally beating you senselessly. We then get this break with the guitar and Parannoul yelling Into the Endless Night, and then all of a sudden it shifts into this dreamy space that sounds so magical to the ears, where Parannoul just la-las around as the drums and keys support him, with band members even supporting his vocals by repeating Into the Endless Night over and over again. It's truly something to be in awe of. You almost know something is coming, a giant sound wave waiting to crash on an ocean of emotion. If that's not poetic enough for you, I don't know what is. The song eventually starts to break up, and you only get the guitar and piano, and the guitar just starts to get all reverby, and everything just starts to get more distant. Just when you think it's most likely over, it comes back with a full punch of sound, with guitars reverbing all across the walls, distorted, totally full-on Korean rock. There's so much noise going on to the point where you don't know what's happening, but you love it. We finally get to the trumpet, which is played by Finfor, and fun fact, they stated in the comments section of this performance, "I played bad there, but I gotta flex. I'm the trumpet boy." Which I think is not true at all, because he really changed how it sounded and made it even more beautiful. If he ever sees this, which I doubt he will, I'd like to say that you played great and contributed to something legendary. Thank you. At this point, the music is layered so much and built onto each other that everything gets so off the walls crazy that it's like we're in a chamber of sound. With the sound of the trumpet, it's almost like it's built a border around the performance, like it won't let any remaining sound escape. I'm really running out of things to say at this point. Just know this song is a masterful experience of sound and emotion. We get one more into the endless night before it's completely built up. The sound is ready to explode. It's gearing up for it. The trumpet has reached the ceiling, ready to explode the concert walls and transcend an almost physical realm of music. It's almost like the music is playing itself at this point, with as much reverb and sound as going on. It's like jazz. Everything's falling into place at the right moments. And then, we crash. That built-up sound has completely taken over into this harsh noise of live instruments and digital sound instruments, but much different than anything Parannoul has ever done. It gets to the point where his vocals have been completely overshadowed, and even the drums itself have been overshadowed. You can barely hear them, and when you do, it's just overwhelming to the point where you don't understand what's going on. Is it entrapping you? Are you entering a new realm? What is even going on anymore? Eventually the remaining sound dies and the reverb is turned to max, and it feels calm, almost until it doesn't. And everything gets so loud to the point where it feels like it's coming out of my headphones max volume. It sounds like Parannoul and his band unleashed a tornado into the live hall, taking and destroying any sound possible. I wish I could play moments of this part, but it really wouldn't work out, because I don't want to harm anyone's ears, and also, if I turned the music down, it wouldn't even be worth it, because that's not the full experience. If you want to check it out, everything will be linked in the description, so please check it out for yourself. But I tell you, you've been warned. It's loud, aggressive, and it screams at you. But like the saying goes, calm before the storm. But in this case, it's more like calm after the storm. At the 30-minute mark, all the harsh noise, the tornado, the drums, the guitar, everything is gone, faded away. And all that's left is a soft piano ballad playing in the back while wet footsteps walk. Now some backstory behind this phase of the song. Parannoul announced before after the magic dropped for his fans to send clips of themselves responding to prompts he sent. Entries 1 and 2 were put on We Shine at Night, and entry 3 was put on Parade. The fourth prompt was, tell me one wish related to your life. And these entries were nowhere to be found on the album, which confused a lot of fans, and especially the ones who submitted clips of themselves responding to this very prompt. But you'll figure out very soon where the fourth entries were placed. The piano ballad gets louder, while the footsteps themselves continue. All of a sudden, we hear voices, audio clips from fans, explaining their wish. Some included were, I want to make something I can be proud of. I want to be someone who inspires others to become the best versions of themselves. All the fans joined for this. English, Korean, Japanese, everywhere. As Parannoul begins to sing, it's almost like they're singing with him in this moment of clarity. Everyone around the world is coming together to contribute to this song. Parannoul did this as a surprise, which I feel is very heartwarming. To realize that your clip made it into a piece of music history is something, just something amazing. Thank you, Parannoul. Parannoul begins to sing more, faster. The footsteps get louder and faster too. Even the clips start to overlap, and they get faster and faster. You can't help but continue to listen and sway your body in the rhythm of this magical night. You're truly into the endless night. I like to think the steps are steps of people around the world, walking to each other, to join and become equal and to love one another, and give their energy for Parannoul to perform these last 10 minutes, to cement himself in music history, to give his fans what they want, a happy ending. Parannoul begins to sing around, and his singing gets louder, the most beautiful it's been through this entire project. Never has it been more clear, more powerful than it has been before. The energy of his fans' messages really worked. A final drum roll occurs, goosebumps surrounding everyone, as his singing gets louder, faster, the drumming faster. Everyone is silent, witnessing a legendary moment in a small music hall. Into the endless night, Parannoul echoes across the live hall. His words travel across countries, across languages. His music is being performed in the hearts of everyone, not only in the concert, but emotionally around the world. Everyone is here. Everyone has locked in. The drums come in. A build-up never dreamed before is coming. And finally, explosion. Violins, drums, guitars, vocals, leads, a musical masterpiece. You can almost envision it. The music is loud, but you can't help but listen to every second, every layer, every instrument. The energy and motion surrounds you. Parannoul sings in Korean. I'm not running away. I'm going back. My way. Things I didn't know. Now I can feel them. Again. Even though we can't touch it, everyone wants it at dawn, in this place where there is no one. We stand there. A final message to a new era of Parannoul, a tribute to his fans, to his supporters all around the world. They stand with him as he performs this final piece in this legendary song for a legendary performance. His voice echoes into the endless night. Once more, with the lead and keys coming back, the drums, the guitars, everything is united in the right place, the opposite of the harsh noise. It's truly the definition of being free. Then, all at once, everything falling into place. The drums harder than ever, a final crescendo that leaves with a cymbal hit, and the guitar faded into that endless night. The audience cheers. Silence. The curtains drop. Parannoul and his band are cemented in history forever. Thank you for everything, Parannoul. Parannoul is an artist that will go down in history, not just for his music, but for his inspirational messages that come with them. I'm truly grateful we can have someone like him alive in our generation, to spread love and to give back to the youth. Parannoul once said in a reference to his To See the Next Part of the Dream album, I want to be a person like them, who is remembered and talked to for the rest of one's life. Through these works, I want to leave a little trace of my own, no matter how stupid and anachronistic of a dream it may be. I find this quote really important to me. It was something that made me wonder how many indie musicians will never have their work recognized. I couldn't let this happen to Parannoul. That is why I'm making this. Parannoul needs to be documented and made known somehow. This performance is an excellent example of that. If Parannoul were to ever see this, I just want to say, thank you for everything you've done for me and my friends. You've changed my life, and for that, you will always be remembered forever in my heart. Thank you for watching. Please check out Parannoul. I'll link everything in the video description. If you enjoyed this video, then you can always subscribe. I'm going to try and upload regularly now. And please don't forget today.
小さな頃に